Magandang araw mga kabarangay. Nabalitaan po natin na ipatutupad naman po ang ECQ sa NCR Plus. Ito po ay dulot ng Delta variant. Bakit po kailangan ipatupad ang lockdown? Sapagkat ang sabi po ng Okta Research, kapag hindi po tayo nag-lockdown, magiging malaki po ang o tataas muli ang COVID infections natin. At ang sabi nga po, makaabutin po ito ng 30,000. So, by the end of August, dito lang po yan sa NCR. So, ang ibig po sabihin, mga kabarangay, kailangan po nating seryosohin ito. Hindi po natin pwedeng biruin. Sapagkat ito pong Delta variant, ang sinasabi po ay highly communicable. Ibig po sabihin na ang sabi po ay about 90% ang transmissions. Kaya kailangan po ay seryosohin ito. Hindi lamang ng pamahalaan, bagkus ng bawat individual na mamamayan. Alam po natin may mga negative reaction tungkol dito sapagkat kapag mayroong lockdown, apektado po ng malaki ang ating ekonomiya. Ngunit kailangan po magsakripisyo tayo kung ayaw nating matulad sa ibang bansa na marami po ang naging casualties, lalo na po sa India, dulot po ng Delta variant. Sapagkat kapag hindi po natin ito naagapan at masyadong dumami ang mga mahahawa nito, baka po mag-collapse ang ating healthcare system in the sense that we could no longer accommodate or hospitals nationwide may no longer be able to accommodate the COVID patients. Kaya po hanggang ngayon, dapat po alagang as a matter of preventive solution, kailangan po muli ipatupad yung ECQ sa NCR at sa iba pang mga lugar kung kinakailangan. At mayroon pong ilang nagsasabi, pinakamalaki pong big step, one most important aspect of prevention in this regards ay ito po yung pagpapabilis ng bakuna. Hanggat maaari po mabakunahan agad ang ating mamamayan. Nang sa ganun po ay hindi na sila mahawa pa. At muli, pinaalala po natin na kahit nabakunahan na, kailangan pa rin po na i-observe strictly on the part of the people yung mga health protocols. Pagsusuot ng face mask, ng face shield, at yung social distancing. Kailangan po nang sa ganon talagang mapigilan po ang hawaan. At doon po sa wala pang bakuna, ang panawagan po natin, dapat magpabakuna na po. Huwag tayong maniniwala doon sa ilan. May nababasa po tayo lagi sa Facebook, itong maharlikang masa na wala nang ginawa sa araw-araw kundi takutin ang mga mamamayan with fake news na maraming namamatay sa mga nababakunahan at hindi lang ipinalalabas ng gobyerno. Kalokohan po yan. Huwag po tayong maniniwala. Yan po ay isang katarantaduhan ng kung sino man yung nagpo-post na yan sa maharlikang masa na nasa Facebook para hindi ka nakakatulong. Yung ginagawa mong yan, paninira yan sa gobyerno at yan ay labag sa mga polisiya na pati pinatutupad ng gobyerno. Tinatawagan natin ang kinaukulan na kung pwedeng patigilin yan, ipahinto yan. That is not within the coverage of freedom of the press. Bakit? Because what it has been posting is contrary to public policy, which cannot be allowed and can be stopped by the government anytime. So, nakaka-apekto din po yan, nakaka-influensya din yan sa ilan nating mga kababayan. Kaya hindi po dapat hayaan yan. Dapat itong Facebook, dapat yan ay tanggalin yung page na yan. Sapagkat yan po ay habang ikinukumpanya ng ating pamahalaan na magpabakuna, ito naman ay panay ang kung ano-anong mga fake news para siraan ang pagbabakuna. Hindi po dapat yan. We have to discipline people using the media. Hindi pwedeng justification dyan ang freedom of the press. Kalokohan yan. Sa ibang balita po, nabasa po natin yung announcement ni Trillanes na di umano ang Magdalo ay hindi susuporta kay Leni Robredo sapagkat si Leni Robredo daw ay nakikipag-usap kay Lacson at kay Soto. Well, matagal naman po nating sinasabi yan that there is no hope for having a united opposition against any candidates endorsed by President Duterte. Hindi po magkakaisa yan katulad ng pinapangarap ni Leni Robredo. Kaya siya makikipag-usap. In the first place, Trillanes will never go with her. Lacson, nagdeklara na. So, hindi papayag si Lacson. Makikipagkaisa lang si Lacson sa opposition kung siya ang gagawing standard bearer ng opposition. Katulad ng sinasabi ng isang bayan. But, hindi naman mangyayari sapagkat si Pacquiao ay hindi rin papayag. Pacquiao, pag uwi niyan after his boxing fight with Spence, pagdating ng September, magiging hot na rin yan ang kumpanya ni Pacquiao. Katunayan, kahit nasa state pa yan, may lumalakad na for Pacquiao-Moreno tandem. So, kung sila ni makikipag-usap pa kay Lacson, ang ibig sabihin si Lacson ang susuportahan niya. So, how about Pacquiao? How about Trillanes? How about Alan Cayetano? So, ito yung mga probable opposition candidates. Samantalang sa bahagi ni Pangulong Duterte, uh, we hope and we believe that 95% it will be Sara Duterte. Although may mga nagsasabi na si Bongbong Marcos, but we don't believe it would be Sara. The least pwedeng mag-vice si Bongbong. Baka si Bongbong ang pick-upin kung hindi tatakbo si Pangulong Duterte. So, but as to presidential, si Sara is 95% so far sa ating obserbasyon. Bagamat ang binibitawan pa lang na salita ni Sara ay pinupulsuhan pa niya ang mga mamamayan kung anong gusto. Pero nagsabi na siya na she is open to the possibility of running as president depending upon the polls that would be given by the people. At alam naman natin, based on the polls is a survey na gusto ng tao si Sara. So most likely, 95%. Ang question na lang dyan kung sino ang magiging vice president. Either Duterte Andim or Duterte Marcos. Posible pa. Parang narrow down na as to who would be the vice president. It will be a matter of between Duterte and Marcos most probably. Ang question dito, kung hindi pipikapin si Bongbong Marcos as vice president ni Sara Duterte, question is, would Bongbong Marcos be running as president? Kung tatakbo si Bongbong as president, he will be considered also as an opposition. So that would be more advantage. That would be more advantageous to Sara sapagkat watak-watak ang opposition with about 4 candidates, 4 to 5 presidential candidates on the part of the opposition. Samantalang sa mga DDS, Duterte supporters, solid ni Sara yon. So, with Bongbong Marcos running as president, assuming should he not be taken as vice president, hindi rin po magkakaroon ng negative effect to Sara Duterte. Hindi rin magkakaroon ng negative effect. Pero kung si Duterte, si Pangulong Duterte hindi tumakbo as vice president, most likely si Bongbong ang kukunin as vice president, and that would be unbeatable ticket sapagkat mas lalo mapipilay ang opposition with Bongbong Marcos joining Sara as vice president. So magiging napakalakas na tandem po yan. But assuming na hindi siya makuhang president at tumakbo siyang president, if he could not be taken as vice president at tumakbo siyang president, we believe, as we have said anyway, that it will not negatively affect Sara. Pero ang tanong po dito, tatakbo ba talaga si Pangulong Duterte as Vice President? Well, to our minds, 50-50 pa rin yan. Si Digong anytime kasi pwedeng mag-withdraw in favor of Bongbong as Vice President. Or if to his judgment, para hindi pa rin siya ma-set aside, itatakbo, he choose to run as Vice President, mananalo po ang Duterte tandem. Pero as of now, tatakbo ba talaga si Digong? Well, it depends upon the development. Sapagkat what will deter him from so doing maybe his health. At saka yung sinasabi niyang mas gusto na niyang mamahinga. Kumbaga pagod na. Anyway, 76 na rin naman siya. He deserves to rest and stand advisor to Sara Duterte just in case. Pero kung talagang pipilitin pa rin niyang tumakbo, wala rin pong problema because mas gusto rin ng sambayanan yan. Kaya itong politika, itong 2022 presidential elections, magiging masaya po ito. Siraan ito ng siraan personal, mga character assassination. Pero wala naman po tayong magagawa sapagkat ang pagbabasihan po ng judgment on the part of the voters ay yung achievements ng mga politiko who offer their services to the public. Katulad ng sinasabi ni Soto at ni Lacson, they would be running for an efficient government, for yung katapatan, kakayahan na sinasabi nila, yun ang kanilang ino-offer. Pero base sa kanilang performance, kitang-kita po naman natin na sa tagal nilang nanungkulan in their capacities as senators, especially, makikitaan mo po na kulang ang kanilang achievements para masabi natin that they deserve to replace the present administration. Hindi po nakitaan natin ang decisiveness si Lacson at si Soto. Samantalang sa katauhan po ni Sara, inuulit natin base sa kanyang karanasan at ipinakitang determinasyon as mayor of Davao, na katulad din naman ng kay Pangulong Duterte, kung saan ang kanyang karanasan ay ang pagiging mayor din ng Davao. Makikita po natin na Sara has all the possibilities shown in her character to follow the footsteps of her father. In fact, we even believe that Sara can do more than what her father did. Bakit po nasabi natin yan? Sapagkat kung sa talino pag-uusapan, kung sa malasakit sa bayan, kung sa determinasyon, kung anong mayroon si Pangulong Duterte, nariyan din po sa katauhan ni Sara. Pero ang mas mahigit na mayroon si Sara na wala naman ang ating Pangulo ay yung the vigor of the youth. Yung pagiging bata ni Sara, because Sara, just in case, would be assuming the presidency at the age of 44. Sapagkat ang alam natin, the last time that she celebrated her birthday she was 43. So, upon assuming presidency in 2022, she would be likely about 44 or 45. And up to the end of her term, he would be somehow 49 or 50. While Rodrigo Duterte has assumed at about 70. So yung age difference between Sara and Duterte when both assume the presidency is a big difference, in the sense that Sara could even do more, even twice or more than what the president did, together with the help of the Senate, the Congress. Kasi kung titingnan po natin ang kumandidato po si Pangulong Duterte noong 2016, sapagkat he was at the time the least winnable at biglaan po yung kanyang pagtakbo. Wala po siyang makasamang senator at congressman. So yung first 3 years niya, Duterte was not able to gain the full support of Congress. It started only when after 2019 na lahat ng mga nanalo sa Kongreso ay mga supporters na niya. So it appears na yung full support of Congress was only given to President Duterte in the second 3 years of his, starting with the second 3 years of his term. For the first 3 years of his term, hindi ganoon ka-supportive ang Congress kasi hindi niya mga kapartido. Lalo na yung sa Senate. Yung sa House, yung mga congressman, para lumipat na lang sa partido niya. Nung manalo na siya, even when these people ran as congressmen in 2016, they did not belong to the president's party, pero sumakay na lang niya. Naglipatan na lang. So sa lower house, medyo na-control. With Alvarez, katunayan na elect si Alvarez as speaker at that time. Although, bago mag-2019, napatanggal din yon. So, hindi ganun ka-supportive, especially the Senate. Yung from 2016 to 2019. Pero itong kay Sara, it would appear na from 2022 to 2025, ang majority members of Congress, both chambers, the lower house and the Senate, will be controlled by Sara's party. And that would also be the same on 2025. So in other words, Sara would be working as president for the whole 6-year term of her office with with the full support of Congress from 2022 to 2028. And that would make a lot of difference as to the accomplishment between Rodrigo Roa Duterte and Sara Duterte Carpio. That support of Congress, plus the fact that Sara could also choose younger cabinet members. Most likely, majority of the cabinet members that Sara would be appointing most probably will also be with the vigor of the youth, because most likely she would be appointing people within her generation. So in other words, the national government would be run by middle age leaders, the young generation. Hindi katulad nitong kay Pangulong Duterte, mostly henerasyon din niya. Although marami ding mga bata-bata, but then definitely Sara could choose more innovative, creative, and decisive, brought about by their being young people to lead the government. So ito po ang dahilan kung bakit sinasabi po natin na at dapat po si Sara talaga ang maging Pangulo. At nais po natin itong ipaunawa sa sambayan ng Pilipino. It is not a matter of blind or fanaticism to Duterte's style of governance. Sabi ni Leni Robredo, we cannot afford to have another 6 years of Duterte's style of governance. Yan ang sabi ni Robredo. Kasi po, ang tingin po ng opposition, based on their political party interest, ito ang pinakapangit na administrasyon, yung kay Duterte. Contrary to the observations of the people in general, that so far we have the best administration under President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. The reason why we have to continue this Duterteism legacy of governance. This is in fact the most meaningful administration so far, with the personality, with the kind of personality that President Rodrigo Duterte has. And because the leader has this kind of personality, so all his official family, the members of his official family, the cabinet as that, are most likely also have that similar vision with that of the president. Kaya nagiging productive po silang lahat. At dapat po ipagpatuloy itong ganitong uri ng sistema ng pamamahala, contrary to what Leni Robredo has said that we cannot afford to have another 6-year term of Duterte's style of governance. Sa totoo po, nasasabi lang yan ni Leni Robredo at ng mga opposition dahil po sa inggit, dahil po sa maaring kabobohan nila o dahil sa kanilang pagiging biased, ayaw nilang tingnan kung ano talaga ang mga naging achievements, kung ano talaga ang uri ng pamamahala ng ating Pangulo. They are blinded by their zealousness, by their political interest, by their envy. Kaya everything that the President has done, they try to associate it with vile, evil, with malice, everything, to make it appear before the public, with the help, of course, of the mainstream media, that the President is good for nothing. Pero ang mga taong bayan po ang nagkakakita na kung ano ang talagang naging accomplishment ng Pangulo. At kaya po nagpapasalamat tayo dito sa social media, sa YouTube, sa Facebook, sa iba-ibang paraan where we could air, we could share the facts that we have witnessed under the Duterte administration. So mga kababayan, kabarangay, maging mulat po tayo at huwag po tayong maniniwala doon sa mga nagsasabi na si Pangulong Duterte ang pinaka masamang Pangulo. On the contrary po, President Duterte is the best among all the presidents of the Republic. Kaya nga po natin gustong mailuklok si Sara bilang kapalit niya sa 2022 upang may pagpatuloy ang kanyang nasimulan. On the while po, wakasan po natin ang ating talakayan at bilang suporta, inaanyayahan po natin na i-subscribe ang ating YouTube channel, ang ating paninindigan sa napapanahong isyu ng lipunan. Uli, maraming salamat.